So our free webinar is Mastering the Art of Ring Stewarding. If you're looking to learn more about this exciting role, you are in the right place. I'm Sandy Drakowski, APHA's Director of Judges and Professional Horseman, and I'm your host tonight with a great panel. We have another engaging interactive webinar lined up for you today. But before we get started, like I asked, please make sure that you are muted to avoid any background noise. You're welcome to share my comments and questions via the chat on Zoom or on our Facebook event page where we are live streaming this webinar. We'll do our best to get you to your questions later. So you can put them in the chat room or you can write them on the Facebook page or on YouTube. Today, we're going to be talking about a key member of the show management team, the ring steward, with some of the best in the industry with us today. Together with our experts, we'll explore who is eligible to become a ring steward, the responsibilities that come with the job, the benefits of being a ring steward, the essential qualifications, how to assist judges effectively, the art of managing halter, rail, and pattern classes, and give you tools where you can learn scribing and more. Today's webinar is brought to you by APHA's Horse IQ. Horse IQ is your go-to place to sharpen your judging skills and ensure you are keeping up with the latest rules and standards in the stock horse world. When you purchase access to Horse IQ, you get a library of on-demand lessons that are regularly updated to reflect what's new in horse showing. You also get access to an extensive library of videos to put your Horse IQ knowledge and skills to the test. And finally, our newest feature, you get access to Judge My Ride, a new feature where you can submit a video to be critiqued by a nationally recognized judge. You can purchase 12-month access to Horse IQ for just $120 as an APHA member. And if you want to get more information on that, you can go to www.horseiq.com. So let me begin by introducing our special guest, Gale Little of Mebane, North Carolina, Carla McMullen of Norris, Tennessee, and Ron McMillian of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Gale Little is Queen of the Ring Steward and has been involved in stewarding for over 25 years. She has served as a steward at every major show in the United States, including the APHA World Championship and AQHA World Championships. She has been a mentor to many up-and-coming stewards and always has a smile to everyone. When you think of Gale, you're thinking of passion for ring stewards. Carla McMullen is from Norris, Tennessee and Fort Worth, Texas. Carla is instrumental in the education of scribes across the country. She has scribed at the APHA World and AQHA World shows for many years. She's also scribed at the NRCHA Snaffle Bit Fraternity and is currently with us from Tulsa, Oklahoma at the NRBC Reining. Carla is a previous recipient of the Don Manuelo Ring Steward Award given by the APHA Judges Committee. This is a prestigious award only given to the best of the best. Ron McMillian is our man tonight. He's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and is scribed at every major show and reining in the United States. He's been at the APHA World Championships, the AQHA World Championships, the NRBC, the Halter Million, and more shows than I can even mention. He was the first recipient of the Don Manuelo Ring Steward Award. So I think we should all be pleased with our panel. We couldn't have asked for better experts than what we have tonight.
Thank you.
We're going to start with our first question for our panel. So how did each one of you become interested in ring stewarding? Gale, if you want to start.
I will. Thank you for having me, APHA and Sandy. It's an honor to be here and be with all of you. 25 years ago, 26, this is my 26th year, I started as a ring steward. I volunteered for 8 years. My husband and I showed horses. He was a trainer, and we showed horses, and I thought I knew everything about a show. I knew how it was supposed to run. I knew everything until I became a ring steward, and I would watch the ring steward, and I thought, well, you know, that is so neat because I never did aspire to become a judge. But I would watch the ring steward, and I thought they must be learning so much. And they're down in the arena with all those wonderful horses and exhibitors. So when I got the opportunity to volunteer, and it was at the Youth World Show, when I stepped into that arena, I still have the same feeling today. When I step into an arena, I feel so honored to be there. And that's when I learned about horse shows. That's how I learned about how they're supposed to work, how they're supposed to run. And just being in the center of the pen, learning from the judges, the show management, learning from everyone, I really learned about horse show. But it just is an honor to stand in the center of the arena, and I have been doing it every single year for 26 years, and I don't know how many more years I have left, but I hope I have a few. But it's great. But always, I'll tell you, always continue to learn and get better, and I've learned from the best of the best.
Thank you, Gail. Carla?
Well, I started out years ago in early 70s showing horses with my dad. And by the way, Gail, you have many years left, many years left. And we showed, and I showed World Show and all that. My girls, then when I got married, had kids, we showed, and they showed World Show. And then they went off to college and showed on the equestrian teams. And I, again, hung up my pitchfork and my driving gloves and wanted to be in the middle of the pen. It just seemed something that was natural that I went to the pen and got to know the inside, the guts of the horse show.
And Ron?
Okay, I've been at this all my life. I've shown horses all my life. And at the little weekend shows, back then, they didn't have a ring steward. So after I was through showing, I'd fill in, which you're not supposed to do, but I wasn't paid to do the job. It was all volunteer work. All of my work in my early years was volunteer. And I've been at this 40 years. It's a long time. And it has evolved tremendously. It's such a pleasure to do. You learn so much. It's a great feeling to learn and learn from the best. You see the best judges, the best exhibitors, the best horses, and it's all wonderful.
Well, as a judge, I can say I'm always thrilled to have any of these three at my side because my job's going to be easier, that's for sure. So thank you for that. What is the main purpose of the ring steward, and what do your responsibilities include throughout the workday?
So I'm just going to add a few, obviously, to assist the judge, and it's record keeping. You know, just be accurate, have patience. It's just helping the judge, making his job a little easier from the standpoint of paperwork. Ron?
I feel like that we're a liaison between the judge and the show management, the judge and the exhibitor, the judge and the announcer, and the judge and the gate person. Mm-hmm. So we convey all of his wishes to them so the show runs smoothly.
And in agreement with Ron and Carla, you know, we're the communicator and the record keeper of the judge's results. And we communicate those to the show secretary and the announcer and work with the gate paddock master. It's a team effort. We'll get to that a bit later.
If any of you have friends that are trying to get on this, we have met our capacity, but they can get on at youtube.com/@APHA video. So if any of you are getting messages from people that they cannot get on, direct them please to youtube.com/@APHA video. And this will be able to be recorded. It's being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it later. Thank you for those answers. Go ahead. How do you prepare for an upcoming show and the day of the show?
I'll start. First, you return and review your your location and your show schedule, and know who your contact person is when you get to the show. Arrive at least an hour before each show to prepare for your day. Make sure that your attire is professional and neat, and communicate with the show manager ahead of time to see what their requirements are as far as attire. List of essentials that you need. This is pretty basic, but pens, pencils, extra paper, ladder sheets, whistle, and clipboard. Check in with the office each day when you arrive to get your schedule for the day, your radio, tablet, if your show uses them, score sheets, fill out the headings if necessary, judges' cards, radio, meet your judge, go over maneuvers and procedures for the class, never be late, and be in position to work for the show to begin on time. If you're on time for the show to start, you are late. You must get there.
Minimum.
This team, we're in position at least 10 minutes before, if not more, and we're ready to go. Do not make small talk with your judge because they are concentrating, and that can make you miss a maneuver. You'll get behind. Your judge will get nervous, and conduct yourself in a professional manner at all times. Be on time. Be prepared, don't be chatty, and check your math.
So I think that's it. That's everything in a nutshell. My procedure typically on who hires me. Now we know the show, and we know what the show is going to entail and what we're going to have as far as tablets and scoring. But if you're new at this and someone hires you from a show manager standpoint, whoever hires you, talk to them and ask them, is it going to be on tablets? Are you going to do the score sheets? Are they going to have the maneuvers on the score sheets? What do you expect from me? What's the dress code? Do I have to wear, most of the time, no matter what show we do, we wear local show, big show, a hat, jacket, nice jeans, nice boots, and are very, I guess the special
Look professional.
Look professional. And then you just try to go ahead of time and get a show bill. You can print it off on your internet and get a show bill, go over it every day to see what classes you're going to have, get patterns. And just like Gale said, once you get there early, try to have some time with your judges to go over what he prefers and how he prefers to give you the maneuvers. Give him patterns, go over the patterns, go over the maneuvers with him. I guess we could go on and on about everything.
This is a multitasking job.
Yes.
You need to be aware of what's going on in the class you're running, and also looking ahead to see what the next class is going to bring and what you need to do for it. So it's a multitasking job.
Yeah, and yes. And be patient, be calm, be a good listener. I guess if anything, try, like Gale said, try not to talk. If you're going to do small talk, if you have a few moments to sit down with your judge and just get acquainted with him, find out what he likes, what he prefers. But then try not to talk and let him be in the zone and do his maneuvers. Follow. The thing that I do is if we have pattern classes, we'll go over maneuvers with him and tell him each maneuver and where we will need a score. Sometimes there's 2 maneuvers in one score. And so you need to let him know those maneuvers and then ask him, then he'll give you the maneuvers and stay with him. Stay with him on every single maneuver so he knows you're asking for a score, you know.
Very good, very good.
Very
One
good.
other thing I'd like to bring up is we're not only working for the judge, we're working for that exhibitor. That exhibitor is paying all of our salaries.
Yes.
So
They're our customers.
we've got to make, our job is to make the judge comfortable in his position to where he can judge the show to the best of his ability. We owe the exhibitor the kindness to have them in place where they need to be and talk to them in a polite and nice manner.
Right.
And I greet everyone that comes in. Good morning. How are you doing today? You don't have to carry on a conversation, but I found that it relaxes the exhibitor. They get to show their horse to the best of their ability. So that's a double whammy there. You work for the judge and you work for the exhibitor.
And the show office and your back gate and your announcer. Yes, we definitely.
It's a team.
Yeah.
It's a team, definitely.
Very good. We have a lot of people on tonight that are interested in becoming ring stewards. What is the best way to become a ring steward?
Volunteer.
Volunteer.
Get on, call your local people, your local shows. You know, we talked about qualifications and essentials for being that you need to be a good ring steward. And one of them is be familiar with the show that you want to ring steward, whether it be cow work, whether it be hunters, whether it be the reining. If you want to go for the all around, kind of be familiar with those special events or the events so that you're kind of aware of the patterns and what's going to go on that day. But volunteer to get those local shows like we talked about need ring stewards, volunteer. Help them out. Office, help them out in those shows.
Yes.
Everywhere. Help them out. That's the best way. And they'll be more than happy to teach you and to accept you to come into their shows.
Another thing that you could do is if you go to a show, if there's a judge there, an AQHA, APHA, any judge that judges, ask them to let you sit with them while they're judging, but they're in attendance. Ask them if you can sit with them through a class. Have your score sheet. Ask them to list the maneuvers for you so you can learn how to document the maneuvers on the score sheet. That's a great way to learn. And I think there are a lot of judges. I know judges that have had people who want to be a ring steward sit with them at a horse show. And so that's a good way to do it too. And I think they'd be willing to do that. If you see a ring steward that if you see me, Carla, Ron, so many great ring stewards would be so happy to help you learn how to scribe or give you pointers. That's how I learned. I learned from Ron, Carla, all these ring stewards. I learned from them. That's who I learned from. And I learned from judges. And I learned from the paddock master, the announcer, and the show manager. So go volunteer.
Volunteer, yes.
And the main thing, this is one of my pet peeves. The rule book is everyone's best friend. The exhibitor, the ring steward, the judge, the show management, everyone should read it. Trainers, everyone needs to read their rule book, see the procedures, see the scoring system, check your penalties in it, your spread on your scribing classes. It's all in that in the rule book. That rule book is everyone's best friend, and everyone should read it.
Amen. That's for every event. For
Carry it
sure.
with you. Always carry it in your toolbox when you go.
Speaking of your toolbox, what is in your toolbox of things you'll need for your work?
A little bit of everything.
Pretty heavy.
You should see our bags. They're heavy. We have everything in there, don't we, Carla? I mean,
We have everything.
we have everything. They need a cough drop. They need chewing gum. They need
Pain
an extra
medication.
pen.
Everything.
Extra pen. And I listed some of the things that you have to have, pens, pencils, extra pencils, because if you're scribing, you're going to use them. And so don't just have one, and always have an extra pen, because your judge's pen may run out of ink in the middle of a class. And so there you are with an extra pen. So it's all about being prepared.
Yes.
And I listed some of the things earlier that you should have, but fill that bag up with things that you need throughout the day. Don't forget your judges' cards when you go down in the arena. Don't forget your ladder sheets, your score sheets. You don't want to go sit down with your judge and oops, wait, the show just started. Oops, I don't have my blank. You're going to be uncomfortable, and your judge is going to be like, excuse me, can I have another ring steward? They would never do that. But if your judge is comfortable, if you're comfortable, your judge is comfortable. If you're uncomfortable and you're like, it's going to distract them. So one of your jobs as a ring steward is not to distract your judge. They have a very important job to do.
Be prepared. Be ahead of it. Be ahead.
Very good. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given regarding ring stewarding?
I don't think there's one thing. I guess we could have many.
Everything.
How much time do you have?
Be on time. Be kind.
Be kind. Be friendly.
Be
very-
pleasant.
When I ask the exhibitor to step forward, I say please,
Yes.
and I tip my hat to all the ladies.
Mhm.
I ask them to back, please, and when they finish backing, I thank them.
Mhm.
And you'd be surprised the look on their faces. It's calm. It's a calming sensation.
And just smile.
And smile at them, smile at
Smile.
them. And like I say, you don't have to carry on a conversation just to please and to thank you. How you doing today? It just brightens everything up. It makes that exhibitor more comfortable with their job they're doing, and they're better at doing their job when they're comfortable.
And like Ron said, they are our customers at the end of the day, and they've been up all night. They're exhausted. They're stressed. They're nervous. And it is amazing just to sit when we have to line them up or we have to place them on the rail, just to say hello, have a good day, or good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I've
know.
had judges tell them that.
Yeah.
Good luck, you know. And it's not that they're giving them any head starts, you know, or advantage over anyone else.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make them relax where they can do their job well.
We have to remember, as ring stewards, they're nervous, and I see them, we all see them right before they enter the arena. They just take a great big deep breath, and we'll say, take a deep breath. You're good. You look great. You know, don't be afraid to speak to the exhibitor.
Always.
Don't be afraid to speak, because we want them to be comfortable. They will feel better about their experience and their run, and they're just nervous. So we have to we multitask. We multitask. But I did ask a judge here, what would you, right off the top of your head, what would you like to see from your ring steward? He said pleasant, friendly, and I'm in a zone when I'm judging, and I really don't want to talk a lot.
Yeah.
That was from a judge. And they're not being rude. He
No.
said, I'm concentrating. So if I say, you know what, I have 2 grandkids and I want to tell you all about them, show you pictures. So, sorry, you're distracting me. So, I mean, I know that sounds funny, but you just have to be very mindful of when to talk to your judge.
Yes, for sure.
Good point. Good point. What does the word team mean to you regarding the show you are working? Who is the team that you're working with?
So I want to take this first.
Okay.
So there is a small, we are a small part of a great horse show. Hopefully it's going to be a great horse show. Very smart, very small part of the team. But when we get in that arena, there's a few of us that are a team that we all have to work together. And if you are in a show, and when I say senior, a ring steward, I don't mean age, I mean experience. If you're a ring steward that has lots of experience and you see someone who might be relatively new with procedures in that pen, help them. Be a team player. Reach out there and help them, because we all started somewhere. There's, I want everybody to have the same opportunity that I had. And don't you agree, Ron?
There's a group of us that all work together, Gale, Carla, and I, and there's several of us that work with us, and we all work as a team. We can't all remember everything. And it'll come to my mind to do something, and I'll look, and one of the other ring stewards is already doing it. So you don't have a particularly set job in there. You do it all.
Whatever.
And if the other steward is not doing it, you step in and do it.
Yeah. Or help them.
It's a team. It's teamwork. Everybody goes together.
Yes.
They work together. You take care of one another. You got each other's back.
Yeah.
And the judge's back as well.
And part of your team are the judges,
Yes.
the paddock manager, the announcer, the show secretary, all the ring stewards. Maybe there's one at your show, maybe there's 3. One thing that happens all the time is we're busy. We might miss a back number. Well, you can't miss a back number. So what do you say? What was that back number? Or somebody will see that you looked down and didn't get it, and they'll call out the back number. You think that's a little thing until you're ring stewarding and you don't have a back number. You just have to work as a team. Never be afraid to ask one of your teammates a question, because they may have the same one, but they may have the answer, and that'll make the whole show run more smoothly. It'll make you feel better, make them feel better, because they feel good about helping you.
Yes.
I would like to talk a little bit more about the scribing part of the pattern classes. When some of the larger shows have the numbers on there, I look at that horse when it comes in the pen and check that number with what I have on the sheet.
Have to.
And what I do is I put a little check mark right out there beside that number, showing me that I have looked at that is the correct number. If you get off that number, if that's not the correct number, and you fill that in there, you're telling the wrong story. You're telling someone else a story instead of that person their story. So you've got to check that. And at the end of the class and during the class, check your math.
A running score.
Check and recheck. And at the end, when I finish the data up, I go back over and do it one more time. I put a little check mark out at the end of my run there. And the next thing you do is you put that on a ladder sheet, a score sorter. And I put another little check out there when I do that, and make sure that, and you check your score, your ladder as well as your score sheet to make sure you have all the numbers on there and in the correct order where they belong in the placings they belong.
And you can go, two things. You can go to some online horse shows that already are posted score sheets, and you can print those and practice the adding and subtracting all the way across on the score sheets. Just print several of them off and practice and look at the headers and become familiar with it. But what I do on the numbers, sometimes when you're in those big coliseums, you cannot see that number on start. So I will try to find, let's take a trail, for instance, with 14, 15 maneuvers. Try to find the maneuver that you've got to pause, where it be the gate or something that's close to you that you can see that number. And I will try to find that at the closest to me, that number where maneuver it is, and I'll check it every single time. Because sometimes it's hard to see that maneuver.
It's hard to see it.
Those shining numbers with,
they laminate them, and it's hard, it's difficult to see.
And
so
you
just
call
try to
in.
find a pause in the pattern that you can say, oh yeah, that's the number,
And
but again, name will help you. Sorry, Gail.
No, go ahead. So if your math is incorrect, and that's the number that you send up to the announcer, that score, if your math is incorrect, it will affect the placings. It will affect the awards. It may affect the winner, the 6th place, the 9th place. Check your math. We'll say that, I don't know how many times we'll say that tonight, but check your math. Check your math.
If it's incorrect, you correct your mistake. Own up to it.
Oh,
because it's going to affect someone in their placing.
It
if
is.
you change their score to suit your figures there when you're incorrect, that's not doing them a favor. That's doing them an injustice. Own up to what you do, take credit for it, and move on.
And everybody makes mistakes.
Everyone makes mistakes.
We all make mistakes.
No matter how long you work this, you still make mistakes.
Well, what we do a lot of times, many times, is we will exchange our score sheets and have one of the other ring stewards check our math. And if you don't have anybody to do that, check it yourself, check it both ways across and make sure that you are correct with your math. Check your math.
Yeah, I would like to add to that, to not use the 0.5 and to use the plus half or minus half.
Oh.
I've had a lot of scribes that have used that plus 0.5 or minus 0.5.
Yeah.
And that's very, very confusing. And I've had scribes that have not put the plus or minuses in the maneuver box. And that's utmost important.
Yes, it is.
Yes, so those are two very, very important things on the scribes. And you guys have always done a great job on that.
And when you turn your judge's card in, make sure that the judge has signed it and make sure the class number, the number in the class, 12, 15, 40, however, make sure that is in there. And that's something the ring steward can do. They can put that number in. The judge is supposed to do it, but you make sure that you communicated with them. That is the correct number to put in there.
And if you can get, like I said, if you can get there an hour ahead of time, even I like to get there super early. But if you can get there an hour ahead of time, go into your show office, get your judge's papers, his scribe sheets, his score sheets, his everything, his cards, put them all in order. As soon as they come in, hand them their cards. They like to sign all of them. Some of them like to keep them. Some of them like for us to keep them. And then you can give them all their patterns for that day. And then they can have them. And then when you sit down with him, he's got the patterns. He doesn't have to worry about score. You've got all the score sheets. You've checked them, made sure the maneuvers are correct on them, and you're set,
You are busy. You
Yeah.
are
Very
busy.
busy.
Ring steward / scribe, you are busy. Whether you're in a rail class, you're counting the number of horses and you're making sure your judge doesn't have to stand there and count, so that they can start judging. When you're in a scored class, you're busy. You're paying attention to each maneuver, you're recording it, you're staying on task. You need to look at your score sheet, be familiar with the pattern, look up to make sure you're on the right maneuver. And you just, and your judge needs to not worry about any of that. Your judge needs to sit there, concentrate, not worry about you. So, just know that you're going to be busy, but like Carla says, get there early, get organized. You will be more comfortable. It'll make you more comfortable.
And if that judge doesn't give you that score for that maneuver, don't be afraid to ask them.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them, I need a score for this maneuver.
Because they
Don't
want,
Far, don't let it get too far.
And
because-
sometimes they'll tell you, wait a minute, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes they've just forgotten to give it to you. So
Sometimes
don't
we
be afraid
just
to
go
ask.
to Sandyland. Yeah, we go to Sandyland where there's flowers and butterflies and unicorns. For the people that are new on here, if you'd explain the ladder sheet and the importance of the same amount of numbers being on the ladder sheet as the entries.
Very good. It's very important. Believe me, I learned the hard way. I was scribing a big roping, great big roping. And this guy comes in and makes a really good run. And the judge commented on how great a job he did. Well, after I'd called the scores in, or called the placings in, this guy rides by and the judge said, boy, you really had a good run. He said, well, you must not like it. You didn't use me at all. What I was doing, I was sliding my paper down and putting that over on the ladder. I slid it down one too many lines. I let a guy win the class that had a 2-loop run. And that was my fault. Back then, they wouldn't let you change it. Now they let you change it when you have clerical errors. But you learn the hard way, but please don't learn that way. I did that 25 years ago. I still remember the day like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
So
you never forget
you'll
it.
never forget it. But as you do that, you take your final score, and your ladder has got placing or room for your exhibitor number beside the value of that run, and you put that there. And like I said, go over and check your sheet, your scribe sheet that you have put it over there. But it's like Sandy said, you've got to count the number of runs you have already made and count the number on that ladder and make sure that it matches what you've got on your score sheet.
We just had this question come in from our viewers. Please explain how the role of ring steward differs from that of a scribe, or is scribing included in the job of a ring steward?
Scribing is included as a ring steward. At the reignings, that's all you'll do is scribe. At a regular show,
It's math.
it's math. It's math.
It's math.
At a regular show, you'll do your rail classes, your pattern classes, which is scribing, and it all ties together. A scribe is just for your reining classes and your cattle classes.
And your
Pattern
pattern classes.
Mhm.
Your ring stewards in the arena.
I know all of you are familiar with safety in the arena, and I was just wondering, what type of situations have you encountered where you've had to go in and tell us how you handled those situations, whether it be halter or a runaway horse or whatever? I know that you've seen a little bit of everything.
I always, so let's take the hunter, the under saddle, and they're moving very fast. The judges are looking down, looking up at the horse, looking down, looking up at the horse. And a lot of times they come in toward the inside of the arena. So you're always watching out for your judge. You're watching out for a horse that may have gotten out of control. Again, to me, the most important job we have is safety for the exhibitors and the horse when we get in that pen.
Exactly. And if you see a horse that is having problems, get on that radio, tell all the other stewards. You're talking to the steward. You're not talking to the other judges, to keep an eye out for number so-and-so because they're having problems.
And we'll take all of us as a team when we say, hey, watch that number. watch so-and-so in the corner, we all 4 of us or 5 of us will have eyes on that horse.
Mhm.
And then if something gets out of control, we can tell a judge and they can say, ask him, the judge will see it if it gets really bad and ask him to come to the middle of the pen. But we
Or
don't,
out the gate.
or out the gate. And we don't want anybody to get hurt.
Safety is our main concern
Number
for
one.
everyone.
For the
Horse,
judge
the
too.
horse, the exhibitor, the judge, we want no one to get hurt.
Yes.
And I have seen it happen. I've seen cart
Patty.
race wrecks. I've seen halter horses rear up on people. I saw them breaking their shoulders. I've had a man die right behind my back. I had a man fall off a horse dead. I've had a young lady that had a seizure while in the class,
Yeah.
but you never see it all. You think you've seen everything, and then something new will come up.
Yeah, a halter horse gets loose in the pen.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or a runaway on the rail.
yeah.
And you've got to be prepared for
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And you've got to step up sometimes and take a hold, whether you like it or not, but do not get hurt doing so.
This just came in also.
You can get run over.
When as a ring steward, do you stop the class without asking the judge? That's off of our,
For
Chat.
safety,
For
safety,
safety.
I do. Yes, I will.
Yes,
I can
because,
stop at any time. If
Yeah.
there's something
Yeah.
bad like that's happening, I will call for a walk
Mhm.
immediately.
Yeah.
we've
We
all
have-
done it.
We've
Yeah,
done that.
yeah.
We've done that.
We've all
Yeah.
done it.
Because some of the judges may be at the far end of their end. They don't even see it.
Mhm.
So you're responsible for the safety in that pen.
Mhm.
Yes, call that announcer, holler
Yeah.
for a walk right there. Immediately call for a walk.
Mhm.
That's within our responsibilities for sure.
That's
Very
definitely part of our responsibility. The judge has the final say on what they leave or they don't leave. But you as a ring steward, if you see a problem, a big problem like that, where it's a safety issue, you have the responsibility to do that yourself.
But make sure it's a problem.
Yes, yes.
Don't call it early.
No.
I mean, and if you see something and you think it might happen, I would suggest talking to my judge and saying, I'm watching, how do you feel about that?
I think the judge will most likely see
Be
it.
aware. Yeah.
But if we're having something on the other end, it doesn't hurt to say, hey, we're having problems on the other end. We've got one we've got to watch.
Yes, we were here 2 years ago. I'm in Florida, sorry, at a horse show. We were here 2 years ago and a horse fell all the way down, tripped and fell. It was in his junior, senior pleasure class. And then, I was the ring steward near it. The judge didn't see it. Nobody saw it. Everybody was looking somewhere else, and we have to call for a halt, or a stop or a walk, because then somebody's going to run into them or the horse is going to get hurt. So yes, that's within our responsibilities, our duties.
That's good.
And safety is number one, no matter what,
Absolutely.
whatever it takes.
Mhm.
what is the ring steward's job during a halter class?
Oh, you get them to the pen, make sure they get their tracking done. You line them up. Okay, in a large class where you're going to have more than one line, we like to leave a horse length space between the first line and leave that open spot. And the second line, you'll move over to the other side of the pen. You will start your line,
You're right, yeah.
the other line in that space between the horses. That way the judge can get off to the side and see the whole class. When you got them side by side, they have to walk from one side to the other. When you got them staggered like that, they can step to one side and look at the whole class at one time. And for grand and reserve, it's in a multi-judge show. Well, in any show, you have to line those horses up. That, everyone wants to know who the winner is. You line those horses up under each judge, just like they placed. Now,
That's
in a
the rule book.
multi-judge show,
Mhm.
one of the ring stewards, I assign usually one of the ring stewards, or I do it myself. You get the first and second place horse from each judge and put it on a piece of paper. And you keep that down. When they get through with that section division, they call for grand reserve. You'll have those horses where you can line the first place horses in one line, the second place horses in another line, and the judge will be ready. They'll be ready for the judge to judge when it's his turn to run.
Very good. How important is it to know the class procedures and to be current on the rule book?
Oh, it's all about it. That's what it's all about. You need to read that rule book, especially your class procedures.
And you'll know more procedures than there are in the rule book. You will know what to do. You will learn. And so if there's someone with more experience than you, learn from them.
Yes.
Yeah,
You will learn-
what's the more experienced ring steward?
Yeah, so a lot of ring stewarding is learning on the job.
Yes, it is.
Because you never know what can happen in the arena.
Like I said, you think you've seen it all. You haven't, because something
They
new.
haven't.
And you'll
That's
have a
true.
system, like you'll learn a system. You'll have your own system, how to add, swipe to the right, swipe to the left, you know, how you put things in the computer. If you have tablets, how you put them on paper. You'll begin to have your own system. But I know I learn something every day I step in the arena with this group. I mean, they're helpful. They're like, oh, listen, I tried this and this works. I mean, we learn something every day from each other. And that's, you have to share. You have to share because there's a lot. There's a lot to do, a lot going on.
I'm pretty senior and I've been at it a long time. I still don't know everything.
Yeah, we don't know it all. Just because
No.
we have a lot of experience, we don't know it all because it can be different every
changes.
single class. So
Still
don't
changes.
ever think you know it all. And one other thing I want to add is no show is more important than another one. You may be on a weekend show, a one-day show, a special event, a world show. You conduct yourself in the same manner and have the respect for every single show and do the best job you can at every show. No show is better than another.
Right. That's right.
Sometimes you have to bite your tongue or your lip, but just do it and go on. Make sure you're the same pleasant person at every show and whatever takes place.
And
Yep.
anybody that wants to be a ring steward, we all encourage it. Go
Yeah.
out and find those little local shows and volunteer because we love it. We've got a great horse show family between
Okay.
judges, ring stewards,
Exhibitors.
announcers, backgate, exhibitors. It's a huge family. And we, like Ron's done it for years. I'm in my 11, 12 years, Gale's 25 years plus. And I couldn't find any better friends.
I've got a 4-letter word to add to this. Love.
Mhm.
We love what we're doing.
We do love
And
what we're doing.
you're not
it's a
passionate.
passion.
It's a passion.
It's one of those things where you get to do it, not have to do it, right?
You
Yes,
get to
ma'am.
do it. It's an
Love what you do.
opportunity. It's an opportunity. We love it. We have a passion for it. It's hard work.
Very hard.
Yes, it's hard work. It can be long days, long hours, hot, cold, whatever. We love it. We love what we do.
Yeah, you're gonna sit
And you
for
need to love,
12
yeah,
hours.
love it. Yeah,
You're
12
gonna
hours,
You're
14
gonna
hours.
stand for 12 hours.
Yeah, Sandy knows because she's standing there with us.
That's right. That's right.
Our last question, how has ring stewarding changed over time and what do you foresee in the future?
I can say over time, I don't know what to look for in the future. Back when I started, we carried coffee to the judge and turned their cards in. That was about all we did. And that was a long, long time ago.
Mhm.
But judging has improved, so has the ring stewarding. And the demand and the requirements for a ring steward are a lot more challenging than they used to be.
As for the judges as well.
Yep.
A lot more to work, a lot more to know.
It's more than just going out there and giving an opinion. It's giving an educated opinion. And that's what our judges do. And that's what we need to do. We need to be educated on what we need to do for that judge to help them and the exhibitor as well.
We do.
Very
And
good.
read your rule book. That's where you get all this information. And go to the shows, watch the other ring stewards, the experienced ring stewards. And ask your judges. Most judges are more than happy to give you a pointer here and there.
Very true. Well, y'all have been awesome. We now have some time for questions from the audience. We've been taking a few of them. When there are scribes for trail or showmanship, what does the ring steward do during that time? So if they have scribes and you're just like the ring manager or ring steward, what are you doing?
You're scribing.
You're scoring the judge is telling you a score and you're putting it on a sheet, on a score sheet. Each maneuver has a value of whatever that rule is for that class. They have penalties and then they have maneuver scores on each maneuver.
Here's another question. What should you do if a judge asks you if a participant completed a pattern correctly? Example, like reining, did she make the correct number of spins?
Okay, I'd like to answer that. If a judge asked me, did they do 3 spins or 4? And if I did not see it, if I was looking down, I'll tell them that. If I counted 4 spins or 5 spins, whatever it might be, or 3, I'll say, I saw 3 or I saw 5. You don't tell the judge what they were. If they ask, and he'll say, was that 4 spins? And he'll say, I counted 5 or I counted 3. That's the way I do it.
Very good.
Sandy.
I did have a judge today tell me and offer some advice. Sandy, you know him, is don't try to learn the why he's scoring what he's scoring. You're there to assist him and not take away his thoughts on that exhibitor. He's wanting to give his total time to that exhibitor and score. Don't try to get educated on why he gave it a +1/2 and what the rules are.
That's a good thing to do, sitting with the judge on the side that's not involved in the judging, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, here's another one from Tara. At the smaller weekend shows, whose responsibility is it to set up the pattern cones? The judge, the steward, or simply ask the judge their preference?
Well, that's a multi-answer question. At the weekend shows, normally you have to find out what equipment they have there and use it the best you can. Sometimes they ask you to set it up. Sometimes they have the show staff will have people to set those up. But the judge has always got to approve it after it is set up.
And the judge can change it, right, Sandy? If
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
not
Yes.
a safe pattern or if it doesn't flow well for the exhibitor. But
Exactly.
as far as setting it up, it depends on the show.
Right. Usually a lot of thought is put into that, and it can't be changed once that class starts. So that's very important to remember. Here's a good one.
The judge's responsibility, but we help them.
This is from Ashley. She wants to know, are judges patient if you mess up on your sheets?
Some can be patient.
Some can't, some aren't. But most of them are very, very kind.
Yes,
Most of them are, I think, you really don't want them to know that you've messed up on your sheet because you don't want to break their concentration. But I don't think I've ever had a judge that was upset about it. They want it to flow well and want us not to make mistakes, but guess who doesn't want to make mistakes? Us.
We don't.
But it happens.
It does happen.
What is the best advice to get opportunities to scribe? Like, you all go almost every weekend. You always are busy. So what is the best advice to get opportunities to serve as a scribe at some of the larger shows? If you've been scribing at some of the regional ones and have experience.
I think if you do a very good job at your weekend shows, if your judges notice how good a job you're doing, a lot of times they will recommend you.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine was working with a very good judge, and he happened to be in the upper echelon of the shows. He worked at some of the world championship shows. And he asked him, said, why don't you work the world? He said, I've never had the opportunity. You know what? He was there the next time.
Yeah.
The judge will see how good a job you're doing. And
Oh, yes. I always recommend good scribes because good scribes are hard to find. So I always recommend them to the major show events in the country, right?
And there's so many shows and they are running at the same time. Sometimes shows just can't find scribes or ring stewards. So we need more.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
What can a show manager do to ensure you can do your job to your best? Yes.
Communication.
Yes.
And you've got to communicate to the show manager and ask them 100 questions, but not really. If you know them, ask them, they don't have enough time. So have your sheet ready on, are we going to do tablets? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? And talk to them and find out how they want the show to run.
Yep.
And you'll be way better prepared. And I think they will appreciate it too, that you ask them the questions and exactly. They'll have a special event. They'll have something that they maybe need to talk to you about. But all the show managers that we work with know exactly what they need to tell us and are very, very informative.
And being prepared is the best thing. 30 seconds on each run ends up to hours at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
In your pattern classes, talk to your gate person. You'll figure out when you're running your pattern, where in that pattern you need to have the next horse at the cone.
Yeah.
You can do that. You tell them now, when this horse gets to a certain place in the pattern, send the next horse to the cone. It'll be there waiting for you. You won't have to stand and wait on it to come from the gate to the cone.
And it's important that the show managers have all of the paperwork in order, the judge's
Yes, ma'am.
card, the patterns. It is so helpful when the show managers will fill out the maneuvers on the score sheets, because if you're not scoring on a tablet and you have score sheets, you have a stack. And a lot of times you don't have time to fill out the headers. And if they can fill out those headers, and I know they have a lot of work to do, but when we go in and the headers are filled out, it makes our job easier, makes the show run smoother. We don't have to hold the class to fill out headers. So if
Okay,
they
good.
Great point.
check the
Very good.
headers, check the score sheets.
Is it an absolute to stay with the judge for the whole show when you aren't in the arena? Like, do you have to follow them to the bathroom and to the restaurant and all that?
Well, sometimes it depends on the shows. Some shows they require it, but no, you don't, they don't
You
want
don't
you.
have to take them to the bathroom.
You don't have to take them to the bathroom.
I do
But
that one.
it is a good idea only because you just don't want you don't want anybody to think that they're wandering around and they're staying. I mean, all the judges go straight to the judges' room when they're
They
finished.
do.
Yeah.
And if the judge is out and about, there's an exhibitor that's going to want to walk up and talk to them or ask them a question about their run. And that's what we're for.
Yeah.
The exhibitor can get a message to the judge through us or through the show office. But, we're there to accompany the judge, and, we're not going to be with them everywhere, but we don't want we want them not to have to worry about that.
Very
And if someone wants to talk to that judge, if they just want to say hello, that's fine. And the judge can say hello to them. They just don't need to carry on a conversation.
Right.
And the judges are very good about it. They know what they're supposed to do and
Very
what
good.
they're not supposed to do. But we need to, for perception, we need to accompany them when they're
Be
in a
with them.
crowd.
We
Okay,
do.
we have two more questions. Would you please elaborate the steward scribe's job during a jumping class and an equitation over fences class? Who keeps track of the time during the jumping? What are the maneuvers and penalty scores for each? And that's for the hunters. And some of the judges do use a symbol method and they do their own usually in the over fences. But if you could elaborate on that a little.
Most of the time, the over the fence judges would have their own system.
They do.
They scribe for that.
They do.
As far as timing, a lot of times you'll have to time.
That's very similar in the cutting also. The judges will do their own scribing
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
cutting.
Yes.
And
And
then
we
we have,
communicate the results to the announcer. We communicate their results to the announcer.
whose responsibility is it to break the ties? Is it the scribes or the judge's responsibility to break ties in a class?
The judges, you might ask them how they break their ties.
Mhm.
Some of them use it with penalty points. Some of them use it with maneuvers. So you need to talk to your judge ahead of time before that and find out how they want them broke, if they want you to break them. And you can look at that and break them for them. But
Right.
most of them like to break them themselves. A lot of times the judge will take the ladder sheet and you give them the number, they put it on there and they can break their ties as they go. But that's up to them. If they want you to keep the ladder sheet, you keep the ladder sheet.
And that's all a part of, have a few minutes with your judge before you sit down
Yes,
to ask those questions. Because you do not want to talk to him about breaking ties in the middle of a 12 maneuver ranch riding
Good.
class.
If we break their ties, we're adjusting their score without their permission. So they need to be the ones that break the ties. It's not up to us to
no.
break them and change their score. So,
But
Point, Carla.
we don't actually change their scores. If they give us a maneuver that say whichever one scores the highest in this maneuver or whichever one has the least
Right.
penalty points, you can go ahead and do that.
we
But
can.
you got to I always tell them, no matter if they tell me to break them, I'll tell them, hey, we've got a tie here and I've got it broken if this is what you want.
Right.
They've got to approve it.
They do.
Okay. Is there always one steward for every judge? Is that a rule of thumb or?
You have to have one
For
for scribing.
scribing, yes, you have to have.
But when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
out
For-
and for
yeah.
our halter world, we can do 3 or 4, right?
We-
Out of 5 judges.
Mhm.
But most
And
of
the
the time
rail-
in the
rail
halter,
work.
three people can actually do
Three
it.
people.
Four people are very good in a halter pen.
When
Ring
there-
steward.
Yeah, if there's scored classes, you have to have a judge per, a scribe per, a ring
Every judge.
per judge.
Okay. Can you please elaborate on more about the scoring classes like showmanship, horsemanship, eck, and trail? Maybe just how they tell you, how a judge tells you the maneuvers and the penalties and how it's based off of a 70 for some of our beginner
Yeah.
people.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gail.
Well, you do start on 70, and I wish I have a ladder sheet here that I could hold up, but I don't have a score sheet. But your maneuvers are placed on the score sheet, and your judge is going to call you. And most of the time, and it depends on the judge too, but most of the time they'll give you the penalty if there is one, and then the maneuver for each maneuver, and you follow along. You may have 12 maneuvers, you may have 7, but you follow along and record those scores. You start at a 70.
And the penalties are typically on top,
Yes.
and the maneuvers can be plus or minus, but the
Mhm.
top penalties are obviously always minus.
Always
But your maneuver is always, can be a plus or a minus, from -1/2 to what, 3.5?
Yeah.
Depending on what class it is.
And in the penalty box, do not go up there and put a 0 in it. Leave it blank. Because there is a penalty score 0, which that eliminates them from getting placed. And if they say penalty score 0, you go up there and put your 0 in the penalty box, and you go to the end of the run and put your 0 out there as well, because it's going to be a 0 run. They're not going to be able to get a prize.
I am going to add this. If you go to horseiq.com, there's a free scribing tutorial. You don't have to pay anything, but you can get on there and see score sheets, see how they go, see how it's added and subtracted. It's like a 10-minute video. A lot of times I'll use that with a new scribe, say, here, watch this video. If you have questions, come and we'll talk about it. But that is a very good tool, and it's free of charge for anyone that wants to go and look. That's at horseiq.com, and it's a scribing tutorial.
Great.
We have another question here. Is there, I understand that most open all breed shows offer non-paying volunteer opportunities to ring steward and scribe. But what is the typical pay scale for typical weekend breed shows and also for World Show? Is it per day or per show or a flat fee?
All the above.
Yeah.
It varies. It
Some
varies.
of the weekend shows cannot afford to pay
Afford.
you. They want volunteers. And I did that for years.
Okay.
And there's really not a scale. There's not a scale. Different breeds pay different amounts.
Mhm.
I
You're-
think all shows are beginning to see the value of good scribes, so the pay scale is going up because they can make or break your horse show.
Right.
Oh, I'll tell you what a judge told me one time. He came to me and he said, I don't know what they pay you and I don't care. It's none of my business. But he said, I know they don't pay you as much as they do me. But he said, I would not do your job for what they pay me. So it's a tough job. But
I like
again,
that.
all the pleasure you get out that we get out of it is worth it all. You get the best seat in the house, set by the best judges that there are, see the best horses and the best riders. It's just such a pleasure to get to do.
Gail, they want you to show the ladder sheet if
I
you
would be
would.
glad to. And there's
Yes.
variations on the ladder sheet. This is one of them. This one goes from, this one goes to 100, from 50, below 50 to 100. It also has room for below 50s. There are some that have places for disqualifications, which DQs, but this is what it looks like. And there are some that are similar. I don't know if, can y'all see it?
Yeah, hold
Yeah,
it, hold it still.
Yeah.
I was trying to move it up and down so you can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah, push it a little closer to the camera.
A little closer?
There
Yeah,
you
See
go.
your little, see your numbers in there?
Yeah, just be really still. So see that 69? So what she's saying your ladder sheet is for is if you have back number 312 scores a 69, in the one of those little squares that the 69 is in, you would put back number 312. So then you're going to fill this all up with all the the scores with all the back numbers in those proper score numbers. And then when your judges get ready to fill out his card, you will start from the top score and follow it all the way down to the last bottom score you have, depending on how many horses you're going to place in that class. Is that helpful?
Yes.
And so this is the letter sheet, and you can see, I don't know where you can get these, Sandy. I don't know if you.
They are available on the APHA
Okay.
website. All of our
Under-
score sheets and penalty sheets are
Good.
available on the
Perfect.
APHA website under judging.
That's awesome.
And resources, I think they're under resources too as
Yes,
well.
yes,
And you
also there.
So do score sheets from there, the actual score sheets, not just the ladders.
And the penalty reference sheets are also available on apha.com. When a show has over 250 classes, multiple showmanship classes, etc., how does the judge feel about the workload, or how do you feel about a class for everyone?
We have those. I hope we have those. You know, I believe we are doing a really good job of having from entry-level classes to professional classes, professional riders. I'm hoping we have a class for everyone. It is very hard to have them all in one day. You may have a show that has 140 entries, and you know the show has to go to split combine because no one wants to show or work until midnight or 1 o'clock. I've worked with Sandy till 1:30 in the morning once. But it's a good problem to have if your show is large. You want it to be large, but it's hard to do all those classes in one day. But I think that we're doing a really good job with having classes for everyone. Even the walk trot, a great entry level class, a great one. And there's a walk trot for everybody.
Excuse me.
There's one last question.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, I think that answers our question pretty well. How would you address lameness a judge may potentially not have noticed while a class is in order?
That's their responsibility, not
No.
ours.
You don't call lame unless we're told.
And we
It's
don't confer. We don't confer with other judges or other ring stewards. If our judge calls it lame, we have a tablet that we will punch it in the tablet, or we'll call up to our announcer and tell them this judge too has called this horse lame, and that's it. We don't move around we don't talk to any of the ring stewards. We don't talk to any judges. The announcer, Stan, will tell us when we have a total of 3 out of 5 judges and let us know that once we have 3 total, then we excuse that horse, and they'll tell us the back number and tell us to excuse the horse.
And the way to excuse that horse, you go to that exhibitor, get them by the gate, and you tell them the judges have deemed your horse unsound for this class.
For this
That
class.
don't mean the whole show. That means for this class. And that's all you need to say. You don't say no more than that.
We're not veterinarians.
No.
That's right.
So, you know, we're just talking about this class.
Austin says, I feel like there's often some tension between the gate person and the stewards when it comes to keeping the show moving. For example, riders are lingering or trainers are calling them away from the comb when the steward wants them there. What's the best way to work around this to keep everybody happy and in a good mood?
That's a hard answer or a hard question.
Well,
Again,
I'm sorry that happened.
be professional and understand, like you said, those riders are trying. They've been up all night. They want to have the best way to show their horses, and they're listening to their trainers. But it can be frustrating when they're trying to get them in the pen.
It can, and the gate person, the gate job is a very hard job.
It's very hard.
It's a very hard job. And you know, we're standing there, the judge is ready to judge. Of course, we want the horse in the pen, but we understand that maybe the gate person's having problems. Maybe they had to change tack real quick. We don't always know what's going on out there. I'm sorry there's tension. I hope I don't see that, but you know, everybody's tired. They may get cranky. I hope not, but you know.
And we have some great gate people.
Oh, great. We just do.
They're
You're a
part of our
team.
Yeah,
You're a
an
team.
essential part of our team, for sure.
You have to be understanding about other people's jobs. You have to just, you know.
Patient.
You
patient.
do your job, let them do theirs,
Yeah.
and they
Right.
will. They're
And-
very good.
Very good. Think we're about to wind up on our questions unless anyone has anything else. I think one thing we need to add is what happens in the scribe's chair stays in the scribe's chair, right? We all hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
That
Right.
is a big part of it, and y'all have always done such a great job. Anywhere that you have scribed, I mean, these three will be willing to take your phone calls, your emails, if any of you are interested. There seems to be a little bit of confusion about a ring steward and a scribe, and in today's horse show world, they are very similar. There's sometimes you'll be called in just a scribe, and you don't have to be responsible for the pattern classes or the rail classes, I mean, or the halter classes, but you just come in to scribe. And that ring steward is one that is more or less, wouldn't you say, organizing, getting them in the gate and the judges' calls and things, but usually it goes hand in hand.
I believe that we're both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
believe we're both. We're ring stewards and we're scribes. In the old days, you ask how it's changed. In the old days, we were not scribes. We didn't, that's how long we've been doing it. But now we're ring stewards and we're stewards of the arena for the safety, for the exhibitors and the horses, like we talked about. We're teammates. We ring steward, we're in the arena, we scribe when we're doing pattern classes. We are both.
Y'all are everything. You are the team that keeps the whole show rolling, and we appreciate you so much.
Can we say
I-
just one thing about the
Yes.
judges? We're
Yes.
running really short on time, but I've never sat with a judge that didn't want to get it right.
yes.
They try so hard, and I know sometimes they get a lot of flack, and people don't understand, but they try. I have never sat with a judge that said, I don't care, whatever you want to do. They try so hard to get it right. They have a lot of pride in what they do, and we love working with
Yes,
them.
we
I
do.
mean, you guys, Sandy, you're just wonderful to work with. You know
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
But I just want to say that about the judges, because I think a lot of people don't know how hard they try. They try very hard to get it right and do.
Yes, they do.
They should
I
be
think-
respected because they do try hard, and they have to know what to do in 145 or 200 classes. The penalties are different in so many of them, so they go from one class to the next where there's new patterns, new maneuvers. And Carla's right. Judges have a very hard job. And we always love to have Sandy as our judge.
We
Yes,
do.
Well,
do.
y'all are sweet. Well, I really appreciate y'all's time tonight.
Sandy,
And
two things that they need to
Yes.
do. Horses IQ rule book. They've got all the answers.
very good. Well, thank you all so very much. Anyone on here
You're
that
more welcome.
needs
Thank you for
email
having me.
addresses, I will sure email them out to you if you let me know that you want them. You couldn't ask for 3 more professional people. So thank you all very much. I believe that's going to wrap us up. I just want to take this opportunity to invite everyone to visit the APHA headquarters in Fort Worth Stockyards and attend the Cowgirl Gathering, May 9th through the 12th, right here in Fort Worth. The Cowgirl Gathering is a celebration of the heart of Fort Worth, designed to showcase spectacular, inspirational women from all walks of life who embody the spirit of the American cowgirl. Whether you're a competitor or simply want to experience the spark of that cowgirl essence, the Cowgirl Gathering is your event. The weekend highlights cowgirl skills in breakaway roping, team roping, and barrel racing, while also showcasing exhilarating and engaging female speakers, Western fashion and art shows, and much more. For more information, visit cowgirlgathering.com. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to APHA's webinar on mastering the art of ring stewarding. We hope we gave you the tools and motivation you needed to give it a try, because it's a fun way to give back to your horse community and learn more about judging. Thank you to our distinguished panel of experts, Gale Little, Carla McMullen, and Ron McMillian. We sincerely appreciate you sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. And finally, thanks to our webinar sponsor, Horse IQ. We'll be adding a recording of this webinar to Horse IQ for you to rewatch and share with other prospective ring stewards. Thanks again, and hope to see you at the Cowgirl Gathering. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.